Hi guys, and welcome to today's ESOL lesson. Today, this is our lesson on story elements. Here we go. We're going to specifically talk about characters and setting. What's our learning target? I can identify the characters and setting in a story. Repeat that. I can identify the characters and setting in a story. Good job. What's our language target? Well, our language target is I can orally. Orally means we're going to use our mouth. We're going to say or describe in words the characters and setting in a story. Repeat after me. I can orally describe the characters and setting in a story. Good job. We're going to answer our essential question. It is, what are the elements of a story? And these are our standards. Let's take a look at what we're going to need. Today you're going to need paper and a pencil. Let's talk about the parts of a story here. This is just a little overview, but we're going to specifically talk about two things today: setting and characters. Okay? In any story that you read, there is an author. The author writes the words. In most fiction stories, you have an illustrator. The illustrator draws the pictures. So that's what the illustrator does. They draw the pictures. And that's usually in a fiction story. Fiction means that it's not real. It's a fake story. In nonfiction stories, you usually have photographs or pictures. There's that setting. The setting is where you go. It is where and when the story takes place. We're going to talk about setting today in more details. Also, the characters. Well, they are the stars in the story. The characters are people and animals in the story. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in our lesson today. There usually is a problem. The problem is what went wrong in the story. It's the uh-oh when something has happened. And the solution is how the problem was fixed. In parts of a story, or the elements, story elements, you have the plot. And the plot are the events that happens in the story. So when you retell a story, you can tell what happens first, what happens then or next, and last in the story. Characters. Well, the characters are the people or animals in a story. Repeat that after me. The characters are the people or animals in a story. Good job. We can answer the question, who is the story about? So when you're talking about the characters, those are the stars, remember? They are the people and the animals. If we were to say, who is the story about? Well, if we were looking at this cover, we could say the story is about a grandmother, a little girl, and a wolf. But the wolf is dressed up. Maybe he's pretending to be like someone else. Maybe grandma. So characters, they are the stars. They are the people or animals in a story. Let's take a look at setting. Well, the setting is where and when the story takes place. Move that back up. Repeat after me. The setting is where and when the story takes place. We can answer the questions, where does the story happen? Or when does the story happen? For example, the story can happen at a house, in the woods. Another setting could be outside, on the beach, in the park. And there are so many other places where the setting can take place. Well, when did it take place? It took place in the summer, at night, in the daytime. It took place many years ago, yesterday. That's the time. So where is the place where a story takes place? And when is the time the story takes place? Remember, we talked about the plot. The plot are the events that happens in the story. It tells us what happens at the beginning, what happened in the middle, and what happens at the end of the story. So, repeat after me. The plot is the event that happens in the story. Those are the things that happens at the beginning, the middle, and the end. Repeat that. The beginning, the middle, or the end. If you're retelling the story like we looked at earlier on our chart, you can say what happens first, what happens next, or what happens last. All right? Good job. Well, let's take a little video break. Let's look at a video that's going to give us a little bit more information about characters and setting. And we'll get a little bit of practice.
Learning upgrade. The characters in a story are the people or animals in the story. The setting of the story is where and when the story takes place. 100 years ago, there was a prince. He lived in a castle with the king and queen. He met a princess and married her. They both lived happily ever after. Who are the characters in the story? The prince, princess, king and queen. Where is the setting? It's in the castle. When is the setting? 100 years ago. The characters in a story are the people or animals in the story. The setting of the story is where and when the story takes place.
Well, that gave us some more information about the characters. Well, that was a story about a prince who married a princess, and he lived in a castle with the king and queen. So the characters were the prince, the princess, the king, and the queen. The setting was in the castle. That's where it took place. Well, what time did it take place? When did the story take place? Well, it took place 100 years ago. Let's do a little review. Remember, the characters are the people or the animals in a story. They are the stars. The setting is where and when the story takes place. We're going to look at a story today. This is a story about a little boy. The title of it is called Eric, the Boy Who Lost His Gravity. As we're reading the story, I want you to think about what we just talked about, finding the characters. the people or the animals in the story, and also the setting, when and where the story takes place. Here we go. The title is Eric the Boy Who Lost His Gravity. Well, gravity is when a force pulls or pushes us down and it makes you fall. The author of this story is Jenny Desmond. Remember we talked about the person who writes the words? That's the author. And the illustrator, the person who draws the pictures. Well, the author and illustrator is Jenny Desmond. Let's take a look inside this story. It gives us a little summary here. It says, stuck in the house one rainy day, Eric grows so angry that he runs out the window. After cooling off, he realizes he misses his family. Let's take a peek inside. Here we go. It was Sunday and too rainy for Eric and Alice to go outside. We have some characters. Let's take a look at the people in the story that we see. We see a mom sitting on a sofa reading the newspaper. We see a dad ironing his pants. And we see a little girl, maybe she's Alice. And we see a little boy, maybe he's Eric. We also see a dog. He's carrying a bone. So we have some characters. Look, we also can say where they are. We might have a setting. They are inside of their house. Why? Because it's too rainy to go outside. Bunny wants to play too, said Alice. Get that bunny off my train, said Eric. Eric, play nicely, please, called his dad. We even have a little uh-oh there. Problem maybe. Alice messed up Eric's railway. No, Alice! So Eric stumped off to build a tower. Alice knocked it over. No, Alice! Then she pulled down his tent. No, Alice! And then she got him into trouble. Go to your room. Urgh. It's not fair, shouted Eric. Everyone is always on her side. Uh-oh, I think we have a little we have a problem. His little sister. Eric was angry, very angry, so angry that he lifted right off the floor. He ran very fast. You get down from there this minute. This is an emergency. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. He ran faster and faster and faster through the window, outside into the fresh air. Our setting has changed. Now he's no longer inside of the house, he's outside. Eric was finally rid of his sister. Woohoo! Wow, this is excellent, said Eric. Yay! Eric was so happy. Wow! Whee! That his gravity came back and he fell into a tree with a great big crash. Oh no, said Eric. Eric was scared and missed his family, even Alice. He didn't like being alone anymore. Now he's outside in a tree. Alice missed Eric too. Eric! Not far away, his parents saw him. Run faster! And ran as fast as they could to the tree. I'm running faster. I'm sorry. Eric climbed down the ladder, said his dad. Don't worry, we're here to catch you. Uh-oh, but look at Alice. She's not happy now. Eric slowly climbed down the ladder to his parents. We're so glad you're back, they said. I'm so glad I'm back, said Eric too. As they went home, Eric saw that something was not right. Where's Bunny? He asked his sister. Alice couldn't remember. Go away, she shouted. Alice was angry, very angry. Eric knew exactly what would make Alice feel better. Bunny! and they went off to play.